All righty, family, let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm feeling blessed and highly favored. Welcome to the Saxton Show. It is episode 5. We are chugging along, man. I remember when it was just episode 1 and my hands were getting all sweaty, right? I was getting into my C-type goal. I remember like, oh my gosh, I'm about to press live, and then all the technical stuff, all the software started falling apart, and I was like, oh my gosh, not the very first episode. But guys, we are chugging along. Look at this, episode 5 in a matter of a couple. And in blink of an eye, we're going to be on episode 100, 150, and I cannot wait for the OGs. If you're an OG right now, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're watching on Instagram right now, get over to the YouTube community, because this is where the focus is. This is where the energy is. And quite frankly, this is where the quality is. This is where the nice camera and lighting is. So drop a 1 in the chat. Let me see the comments. By the way, I can see you guys' comments right here. I can see the comments. I can see all that kind of stuff. Look at this. Look at this. I can put all these nice little pretty things for you. Without further ado, family, let's get into the content. If you're watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording. So what is today's topic? Episode number 5. The 5 lessons that I learned from the late great mentor of mine, Bob Proctor. The 5 biggest lessons that you can now take and change your life. If you haven't heard the news, we talked about on the last episode, my late great mentor, who was at the time a living legend and now who has transitioned to the next phase of his life, is now a legend cemented in not only the speaker world, not only the personal development world, but now the lives of millions of countless people around the world, has passed on to the next phase of his life. And we did an honoring of him on the last call. And so I was thinking today, what should I talk about? What should I bring to the community? And what a common question that most people were asking me while I was studying under Bob. I studied under Bob Proctor for 2 years. Most people ask me, DeAndre, what were some of the biggest takeaways you got when you studied with him? And so that's going to be today's video. And here's going to be my promise. At the end of this video, my promise is you're going to have 5 actionable steps that you can start today that will help you get to your first 6 and 7 figures in your business. You know, for many of us, for many of you that are watching my call now, you're an entrepreneur, you're network marketing, you're first generation entrepreneur, and you're having these mental battles, these mental struggles, and you're dealing day to day with the emotions of just maybe going full time, or maybe not knowing how to get the results, not knowing how to deal with social media, or how to deal with when things go good or bad. And so simply understanding that the thing that's right in between your ears right here will make your life transition in such an easy way. And Bob dedicated over 60 years of his life to understanding this tool here. And so at the end of this call, you'll understand how to see it in your mind and then hold it in your hand. And then for those of you that stay to the very end, we'll also talk about an opportunity to hop on a one-on-one call with me. We had a gentleman, a young guy, 20 years old. He won the giveaway on the very first call. Hopped on a call with him. If you're watching, drop something in the chat now. And that was a very tough call for him, because we had to get down to what does he want, and he didn't know at the beginning. But then he left with a game plan so he could begin to build that. So stay to the very end of today's call so we can go ahead and drop the nuggets down on that. So without further ado, let's hop into the content. Yes, let's do it. Uncle Bobby P. So let's talk about step number 1. What was the first thing that I learned studying with Bob? And it was the concept that many of you have heard me talk about, but you can't hear us talk about it enough. And you know what's the funniest thing about information like this is Bob has been talking about the same thing for over 60 years. But it's this funny thing that when you pay for the information, a person actually pays attention. And so it's like, I don't know how it works, but you know what? It is what it is. First concept, write this down. Have a goal, but not just that, have a goal card. So we've talked about this on, I think, episode 1 or 2, having a goal card. And, you know, actually, I got some notes for y'all because I'll be planning these calls. You already know. So I want a couple things about step number 1 here that I've learned from Bob Proctor in the 2 years that I've studied with him. You got to have a goal. Now, one of the things I'm looking at is how to actually, what problems are we solving here? So here is the problem that we're solving when we set a goal, is that we're going to have a sense of direction and focus in our life. So if you're waking up and maybe you're feeling like you're a little bit lost, maybe you don't know what direction to go. Maybe you feel like you don't have you maybe you don't feel a little motivated right now. Or maybe you've plateaued. You could have plateaued when you're at 5,000 a month. You could have plateaued when you're at 5,000 a day. It's irrelevant of the number. And a lot of us get twisted that if we have a lot of money, we're going to feel better. And it's simply not true, because we all go through this emotional up and down. And dealing with this up and down is irrelevant of how much cash flow is actually coming into your business. So when you have a goal, and in a couple of minutes, we're talking about what type of goal, you're going to have a sense of direction and fulfillment. So what type of goal? We talked about having a C-type goal. Now, what is a C-type goal? A C-type goal is a fantasy. It's something that you want. And quite simply, it's something that you've never actually done before. If you've actually, what is a goal? A goal is not to get, a goal is to grow. Now, this is great repetition. I know we've talked about this maybe in one or an episode or two, but guess what? You can't hear it enough. And let me tell you this, you haven't heard it more than I have, okay? So sit there, take notes, and get this really sunken into your subconscious mind. So the goal is you're going after something that you've never done before. It's something that you truly want. And this is the biggest thing that most people get stuck on, because they say, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. And that's the first step. Somebody will say, well, DeAndre, I want a lot of money. Drop a 7 in the chat right now. If you're watching on Instagram, please get over to YouTube. That's where the quality is. You want to see this YouTube setup? You want to see this camera? Come join the family here on YouTube. So YouTube fam, if you want to have some more of this, drop a 777 in the chat. If you want to have some of this Uncle Benji, what I call is Uncle Benji. If you want to invite Uncle Benji to your barbecue, drop a 7 in the chat. See, for many of us, we want to have more money coming into our life. And I would say, great. If I was to give you $1, your wish has been fulfilled. You have made more money. That's the first thing you have to understand, is how much exactly do you want to earn? And when you get that number, write it on a card. You see, don't write down how much you think you can get. Write down how much you truly want. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What kind of car would you drive? Where would you want to live? What kind of school would you want to put your kids through? How would you want to, what kind of house would you want to get your parents? All these different things you want to start to take into account. That way you can start to develop an image of what your mind would look like. And this is one of the biggest things that Bob taught me. And like, I remember sitting at the back of his seminar thinking, why am I sitting here learning about goals? But if I was to be truly honest with myself, I had not achieved anything that I wanted in my life. I was broke. I was sleeping on a couch. I was sleeping on a car. Man, it was just like, it was all over the place. So maybe if I was to drop my ego, this man on the stage could change my life. And sure enough, he did. Because he said, DeAndre, don't write down what you think you can get. And at the time, I was like, maybe 10,000 a month. I think I can get 10,000 a month. And then I started dreaming a little bit bigger. What about 30,000 a month? And that's where most entrepreneurs are at, especially the ones that get in contact with me. They'll bounce anywhere between, 5, 10, 30,000 a month, maybe 50 if they're stretching it. But Bob would say, what do you really want? If you're okay with 50K a month, that's okay. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't look at me. Don't look at anybody else. How much is that you want? Now that you got very specific on it, the first question that's going to come up to you is how? How am I going to get the results that I want? By the way, guys, if you're watching right now live on YouTube, hit that smash that like button, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every time I go live. And here's a little secret, just to grow the community, make sure you share this with 2 people right now. So I think it's right here, maybe. Look at that. Right here, there's going to be a little arrow that says share this. Click that link, put it in your group chat, send it to somebody else that's maybe in your upline, your downline, somebody that's really into personal development, or somebody that really likes this information, because who knows, this call could change their life and we could add one more person to the community. I say if we can add one person to the community and impact their life, then we are successful. Go ahead and share that right now. So now that you've written this goal down, you got to carry it on a card. And you got to carry that card with you. If you were to go ask anybody on the street, let's just say you were to go ask 100 people on the street, and you would say, what is your goal? Most people wouldn't have one. But about 5% of people would actually have a goal, something specific, nothing like I want to make more money, I want happiness. They would say, I want to have something very specific. 5 people out of 100 would have a goal. And not more than one person would actually have that goal written down and carry it with them. and that's called the 1%. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're ready to join the 1% of the world, not only in income, but also in happiness and whatever it is that you're going after. The first step that you can do today to join the 1% is have a goal, carry it on a goal card, and carry it with you at all times. So let's talk about number 2. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're ready for number 2. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're ready for number 2. I see you, Eduardo, my man. I see you, Mary. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know you guys see me all the time on the coaching calls, but I'm, I'm so grateful to have you here. Watching me live on the show and supporting. What's my man Israel? What's up, big dog? Good to see you there on Facebook, man. Showing some love. What's up, Armani? I see you. Thank you so much for supporting this this chat here. YouTube, Instagram fam, get over on YouTube. All right, number 2. The concept of the stick figure. So for those of you that are joining in right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about the 5 biggest lessons I learned for studying under Bob Proctor for 2 years. And it was the concept of the stick figure. Now, what is this going to solve for you? When you get the stick figure, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to understand the difference between knowing and doing and where you're getting your results from. That's a really good question. You're going to understand the difference between knowing and doing, and more specifically, where you're getting your results from. Because for many of us, we're going out there trying to achieve some specific goal, but we don't even know where our results are coming from. You see, so let's go ahead and let's hop into it. We're going to talk about the stick figure. I got my handy dandy notebook right here. Got my little iPad. And without further ado, we're going to add this right here. Boom, look at that, man. We're going so professional, man. I feel so excited. Let's go. All right. So we call this concept the stick figure. Simple, but this concept will change your life. Here's one thing about Bob Proctor. So just so you guys know, I spent nearly 6 figures in coaching. No, over 6 figures in coaching, consulting, programs, and mentorship with Bob. And let me tell you, I don't care what program you were in or anywhere. He always was drawing the stick figure. It was one of the main concepts that he talked about almost daily. And he's been talking about that since the 70s. So something that we might want to pay attention to and relearn almost every single day. So let's talk about it, guys. So this stick figure here was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934. Now, why is that relevant to you? Because what this image did was it brought clarity to the mind. Actually, let's go ahead and let's try an experiment right now. Go ahead and close your eyes. Go ahead and close your eyes right now. And I want you to imagine your dream car. Very simple. Even the ladies that don't like car, I know you got a dream car. Maybe it's a Range Rover, a G-Wagon. Fellas, you probably already have a dream car, but go ahead and imagine your dream car. Now, what color is that dream car? Black, yellow, red? What color is the interior on this dream car that you're imagining? Okay. Now, is it a 2-door? Is it a coupe like an Aston Martin, Ferrari, Lamborghini? Or is it more spacious like a G-Wagon, a Range Rover? Something simple, maybe just a Toyota Highlander or something. Okay. Now, join me back here. What does your mind look like? Drop in the chat right now. What does the mind look like? What do you think the mind looks like? You see, for many of us, when I ask you the question, what does the mind look like? It's just like a blank stare goes over your head. A couple minutes ago, I asked you, what does your dream car look like? And in your imaginative faculty, right in the consciousness of your mind, in this beautiful thing right here, you saw an image of that car. Let's just say it was a G-Wagon, Mercedes G-Wagon, a brand new one, 2021, 2022. And you saw that car, and you saw the color. Let's just say you wanted it in matte black. And I asked you what color interior. You said you wanted a red interior. This is you in your mind creating this image of your dream car. And that was the key word here, image. You think in images. And then when I asked you, what does your mind look like? For many of us, we drew a blank stare because we've never seen the mind. You know why? Because the mind is an activity. It's not the brain. The mind is not the brain. Right now, the mind is in your heart. Put your hand over your heart and you'll realize your heart is pumping, but not because of your brain. but because of your mind. It's in every cell of your body, keeping you alive, opening and expanding your lungs, regulating your blood pressure, your blood temperature. That's your mind. It's an activity. You see, you can't change something that you don't have an image around. And so when Dr. Thurman Fleet created this image here called the stick figure, it revolutionized so many people's lives, including mine, because we finally got an image of what the mind looked like. And I remember sitting in the back of that seminar with Bob Proctor, and he shared this with me, and it changed everything. And it was the first time in my life at 24 years old that I realized why I was failing, and I realized why I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. So let's jump into it. So let's talk about this top part here. This top part, we're going to call that the C. That C stands for conscious mind. That's your conscious mind. This bottom part stands for SC, subconscious mind. And this bottom part stands for B, body. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to have a little R out here that represents results. Okay, so stick with me here. I'm going to walk through each step of this. So let's go ahead and let's change the color here to blue so you know where I'm pointing at. All right, so we're going to start here. That's an arrow, family. So let's talk about the conscious mind really quick. The conscious mind is your thinking mind. Think of it as your intellectual mind. Think of it as the mind that you're using right now to watch me. It's the mind that we use to gather information, and it's the mind that we've been programmed our entire life to use, that we use throughout school, that said, go memorize this information from the book about history and the Alamo and Alaska and all the countries of the Roman Empire or cities of the Roman Empire, right? All this information that was really good, but not really applicable to life. And then we would memorize all these different information. Then we would have something called a test at the end of the semester. And if you were good enough at memorizing that test and regurgitating that information, you would pass the class, you would move on. Do that for 12 years, and now you have a degree and you are deemed successful in society. But then that same person who was good at memorizing and regurgitating information would go on to the big world and not get results and not make money. Why is that? Because this part of the mind only controls 5% of your results. So the mind that we've been programmed to use our entire life of intellectual information gathering will only control about 5% of the results you will get in your life. Let R represent results. Results being however much money that you want to earn in this example. 5%. Only 5%. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about this beautiful thing here called the subconscious mind. Now, what is the subconscious mind? What does that actually mean for us? The subconscious mind is our emotional mind. Think of it as the spiritual part of you. It's the part that, quite frankly, gathers unconscious habits. Like right now, I don't know what you're doing, where you're at, but you're probably sitting in a way that you've been sitting habitually. Some of you are slumped over right now, watching me in bed on your laptop. The simple fact that you're watching YouTube on your laptop could be the fact that it's a habit of watching YouTube on your laptop. I know that's one of my habits. I never watch YouTube on my phone. That's like rare unless I'm like driving. It's a habit for me to be on my laptop. For some of you, you're at a desk right now taking notes as if you had paid me $10,000 for this free, call. That's a habit right there. You see how that's a big contrasting difference? It's based on that subconscious mind that loves to gather habits. Now, this subconscious mind by default controls 95% of our results. Now, why is that? It's because of this beautiful thing. Well, I like to call it beautiful. I heard the quote that said, "Habit is a way that God made goodness in our life." Habits are a thing that us humans started to gather to bring a lot of pressure off of the conscious mind. And what will happen is, another word for this is called muscle memory. Imagine if you had to learn English every day, or learn how to write again, or learn how to drive every single day. Your conscious mind would be so flooded with random information that it would not be able to progress and expand towards a worthy life, because you would have to relearn the same things day by day. You see, but what happened is the subconscious mind takes over as muscle memory or as habit, and will then take those conscious habits and then move them to an unconscious state without having to think about it. so that you can write in the same way, drive the same way, and do day-to-day tasks. Now, this is for the first 7 years of your life. But now what happens is you're 25, you're 35, you're 45, you're 50 years old, doesn't matter the age. And then you go into business and you will get exposed, because one thing I learned about business is business will expose your habits. And for many of us, the habits that we have generated in our life do not correlate with success in business and finances and everything that we really want to achieve. Because you might be good at earning money, but you're also good at spending money. You might be, maybe you've never developed the habit of making money. Well, you don't make money, earning money. You see, these are all unconscious habits that you began to learn. And those are things that you will start to gather in the subconscious mind. And then we have the body. This body here is a mirror. It's a reflection of the ideas that are going on in the subconscious mind. So remember, we talked about these ideas of habits. Those habits are expressed through this thing called the body. So the body will always, write that down, always act in alignment with the images that you see here in the subconscious mind. And that word is action. It will always act in alignment with the habits that you have formed in the subconscious mind and have planted there. So what does this all mean? The actions that you do, or the things that you do, will always, always, always control the results that you get. If you stay in bed all day, you probably won't earn any money. You probably gain some weight, and you probably won't have the right relationships. Why? Because that's what the actions that you've produced. That's the seeds that you have planted. Very simple concept. But what is this? How does this correlate to business? So here's a person that says, I want to earn $10,000 a month, right? They see it. They read a lot of books. They gather a lot of information. But then we're going to talk about number 3 here in a second. They run into something called the paradigm. It's like this part of their mind that says, you're not worth $10,000 a month. You're only worth $2,000 a month. And so no matter how much information this person gathers right here in the conscious mind, reading a lot of books, gathering a lot of information, nothing seems to change for this person, because they always act in alignment with what? The conscious mind or the subconscious mind? Drop in the chat right now. That person will always act in alignment with which one? The conscious mind or the subconscious mind? The answer is the subconscious. So consciously, the person says, I want to earn $10,000 a month, but the subconscious says, not true. You're worth $2,000 a month. And so the actions will always align with the subconscious mind. Are you following me here? Which means that the results will equal to $2,000 a month in this example. Why? No matter how much information, well, remember, it comes back to these numbers right here. It's not how much information you gather. It comes down to that beautiful, beautiful paradigm of ours. All right. So that follows us into number 3. Oh my gosh, guys. That was intense. That was intense. I don't know. I don't care how many times you watch that. It's just so impressive to learn about that beautiful mind. So far, while I get a drink of water, drop in the chat right now. What's been your biggest takeaway? Share with the community. Who knows? Maybe something that you learn resonates with somebody else. So share in the comment. Who knows? You can meet a friend in the comment section while I get some water. Yo, let me tell you about Costco. They got some good alkaline water. I've been drinking alkaline water for like 2 months. I feel amazing. All right. Let's see in the comments right now. Let's go. Subconscious mind. Tesla Model X. Okay, I think there's like a kind of a little lag on the comments and stuff, but hopefully some of you. Okay, Israel said the stick man never gets old. What's up, Israel, man? Stick man. Okay, the stick man never gets old. Perfect. Powerful information. Armani says. Great. All right, so let's move on to step number 3. What are the big? So number 3. What is the third lesson that I learned from my late great mentor Bob Proctor that you can take today as an actionable step to change your life? So let's talk about number 3 being the paradigm. Well, most importantly, the paradigm program. So what is the idea of a paradigm? A paradigm is a multitude of your habits. Think of it as your mental conditioning or your mental programming. Now let me get my notes out because I prepared some really cool stuff for you. So the paradigm. Why is it that you want to understand the paradigm, and what problem will it solve in your life? So the paradigm, when you understand this, what it will do is you will put energy into converting the program that you're running on rather than gaining information or massive action. Let me repeat that one more time. When you understand the paradigm that we're going to cover right now, here's the problem that you will solve. You will be able to put your energy into converting your programming rather than simply gathering information or taking massive action. Now, some of us have defaulted to taking massive action, right? We do a lot of stuff, posting a lot on social media, doing a lot of work, but not get a lot of results, right? And we feel like we're stuck. Or maybe you're on the other spectrum where you're gathering a lot of information and you feel like you're getting smart, but then you don't take action and you still don't get the results. Why? It's because that little thing that we like to call the paradigm program. So, what is the paradigm once again? It's your programming, it's your mental programming that was sitting right there in the subconscious mind. Actually, let me go ahead and refresh this for you guys. I'm gonna bring this back up so you can see me. So, it was this part here in the subconscious mind. So the paradigm resides within the subconscious mind. Now, a lot of people get confused with that. They're like, what is the paradigm? Where is it exactly? It's in your subconscious mind. So remember earlier, we talked about this idea of the subconscious mind operating on unconscious habits. Well, let's just say one unconscious habit is you wake up at 9 a.m., right? You want to wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. so you can really get a good start to your day. But you always, no matter what, will wake up at between 9 and 11 a.m. and you can't seem to kick that habit. Well, that is an example of one habit. Well, now what happens if you take 100 of those habits? 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000. What happens if you gather a bunch of these habits and form them up them into one little ball? That is what we call a paradigm. It's a way in which you live your life or habits, unconscious habits, or your programming. So that will reside within the subconscious mind. Drop a 3 in the chat if this is making sense for you guys, okay? So here we are. We're inside the subconscious mind and in the paradigm here. So the paradigm is a paradigm program. It's a paradigm program. And I want you guys to be very mindful of that word here. It's a program. It's a program. And no matter what, you cannot operate outside of that program. And this is one of the biggest things that most people will have difficulty with is that they will see or they will try to install new habits. So let's change the color here. They'll try to install habits right here. Let's just say habit. Let H represent habit. So this person is trying to install a new habit in their conscious mind. So here they are. They said, I'm going to go to the gym. It is 2022. It is New Year's, and I'm going to form the habit of going to the gym. And see, we talked about earlier. Remember when we talked about that example of having your dream car in your mind? You saw it in your mind. So that person can see themselves going to the gym, but then something happens. They might go for 2, 3, 4 days, and then they run up against a little roadblock. This roadblock is called their paradigm. It's the unconscious parts of them. So they can consciously, via willpower, try to plant this habit into their mind. They can see it, they can see it, they can see it. But eventually that willpower will always succumb to the program. However, you see yourself in your subconscious mind. This is why it's so key to understand the difference between the two. And so this person will always default to the habit that they have right there. Let that little red dot there represent the real true habit that says you don't go to the gym. And so then by February, people are not going to the gym and they succumb back to their old programming. And we can relate this to diets, how much money you have in your bank account, how much money you're earning right now. You have it's like a thermostat. This paradigm of yours is literally a thermostat programming that it's so hard to override because you didn't even know you had it. And so here we are, we go into business, you go into network marketing, you go into real estate, you go into sales, and you say, I want to earn more money. But then the habits that you have instilled or came into that business with are not habits that have set you up to earn the income that you want. Sheesh, drop a sheesh in the chat if you just understood what I just said. If you just understood what I just said, you'll start to put energy in the right place so you can actually start to shift your life. These are the things that I've done and continue to do to basically build a 7-figure business by the time I was 25, literally from scratch. And you see, it's not about hard work. Here's the biggest thing we're going to talk about right here. It's not hard work. Hard work and effort is irrelevant to the amount of money that you earn. You see, one thing I learned from Bob is when big money comes, it doesn't come just because of the effort. It comes because of a couple shifting in your programming, the thermostat that you have, and simply raising that number in on how you feel inside here so that you can start to see the money out here in your hand. And that's how simply I went from zero to a six figure per month income in less than 60 days. Was even though I saw it here in my mind, Bob had taught me how to also change it right here in the subconscious mind. And when I changed it there in the subconscious mind, naturally, we talked about the body. My body started to do things. You see, here's where the action comes into place. My body started to do things that were in alignment with how I saw myself. Is this making sense? I want you guys to follow me here. My body started to do things that were in alignment with how I saw myself. So I didn't see myself as a kid driving for Lyft and delivering Amazon packages earning less than 2,000 a month. I started to see myself not only here in my imagination, but deep down in my subconscious mind, how I really felt about myself and what you'll begin to do here at the end of this call, so that naturally you will do what I like to call quantum moves. What is a quantum move? A quantum move is when you start to attract the people to you. You attract the resources to you. You attract the money to you, what a lot of people call the law of attraction. It's like the money, the people, the dating, the money, the clients, everything just starts to flow to you. And you're like, damn, this is so easy. And you're correct. It's because you did the work in the proper place. You didn't do the work with your physical body. That's going and lifting rocks and throwing wood and stuff and putting up a house. That's working with your body. But when you work with this mind, it's like you attract things to you. You don't work with the hand, you work with the mind. Drop a 7 in the chat if this is making sense to you. So when you start to shift the paradigm and you get this in alignment, both on here at a conscious level, and you get the habit here at the paradigm level, and then you get it here at the body level, your results will then be in alignment with the new habit that you place. And that's when you're going to see an increase in your income. I think that on the very next episode, episode 6, we're going to get into how you do that. Because like I said, right now we're flowing with some of the biggest things I learned with Bob Proctor. But I think it's really important that I teach you how to actually do that. Okay. So that is the idea of the paradigm. Yes, yes, yes. Drop a 4 in the chat if you're ready for number 4. You're ready to understand the concept that I learned from Bob, which was number 4. And here was the 4th thing that I learned from my mentor, the late, great Bob Proctor, that changed my life. And it was the idea of studying every single day. Studying every single day for 1 hour. And that's something that I've made a habit. Now, I may not do it every single day, but I might skip a day or two. But I do make it such an important part of my paradigm, remember my programming, to study every single day. And here's an important thing. Here's a caveat in which I say study. I'm not saying gather information. I'm not saying sit there and read a bunch of books. I'm saying to study and master one thing. So I want to tell you guys a quick little story, a funny story. So remember earlier I talked about that I spent a lot of money working with Bob. And so one of the programs that I took with Bob back in 2020 was a program called the Inner Circle. This Inner Circle program was $18,000 for a 3-month program. And so what we did is we met with Bob twice a day and we would study with him. And I thought, okay, I want to know what Bob is studying, how he's studying, and so on and so forth. So I want you guys to understand this. In the 3 months that I studied with Bob, we only looked at 2 paragraphs. That's correct. 2 paragraphs we looked at every single week for 3 months that I paid $18,000 for. Now, for some of you, you might be thinking, I would want my money back. Like, why am I studying the same article for that long for 18 grand? But I got a big takeaway from that. You know what the big takeaway was? That Bob studies the same thing every single day and he mastered it. And to be quite honest, it was the first time I had ever heard of that concept, because anybody that told me to read books, they told me to read a bunch of books. They would tell me, like Ty Lopez said, read a book a day, read a book a week, skim through a book, right? And you would gather all these books. Bro, I probably have hundreds of books between here, my house here, and my home back in California with my grandparents' house. I have tons of books, but yet I don't really know any of them. See, Bob said you got to use repetition, 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 repetition. Write that word down. Repetition. Repetition is the key to actually changing that paradigm. So we'll have a whole call. Episode 6 will be wrapped around the paradigm. But quick little note. Repetition is how you actually change that paradigm. So when we were reading the same article over and over and over and over and over and over again, what we were doing is we were planting that understanding deep within our subconscious mind. So not only did we think about it on a conscious level, we thought about it at an unconscious level. We started to think and act like the person that we were studying. And when you start to think and act like the person that you're going to study, you will begin to produce the results that you want, or the results that are in alignment with the person that you studied. Does that make sense? So repetition and studying 1 hour a day was one of the biggest takeaways that I got from Bob. And to be honest, I would not be here today if it wasn't for the idea of studying every single day. And it's something that I will take with me forever, 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 forever. I will be a student studying. And if you guys remember, about 2 years ago, I got a tattoo on my wrist right here, and Bob told me to seek awareness. Study every single day, and you can see it right there. It says seek awareness. And I remember when I look at my wrist that the answer to my problem is not in more information, it's not in more action, but simply in growing my awareness so I can tap into new thoughts that I didn't have before. And when I tap into those new thoughts, then I will get the answer, and then I can go ahead and move in alignment. All right. So that was a fourth thing that I learned from Uncle Bobby P. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the comments really quickly. And here will be a chance. Well, before I get into number 5, a lot of you have questions right now. Go ahead and write those questions. I know there's a little delay on the YouTube comments and stuff. So go ahead and start typing those questions, because after I'm done with covering number 5, we're going to talk about the person who's going to win the giveaway. And then I'm going to sit here for a couple minutes and simply just answer some one-on-one questions that you have. I see the Apex team right here. He has a question. I'll be able to get to that here in a second. Go ahead and start typing out those really good questions that you have for me, whether you would want to get it from Bob's perspective, my perspective, or it could be a simple question that you have, and I'll be able to answer that, okay? So let's go ahead and let's talk about number 5, the 5th thing that I got from Bob Proctor, studying him for 2 years, that completely changed my life. Guys, if you're watching on Instagram, come over to the YouTube family. I know I'm on live here on Instagram just simply because I want you guys to come over to the YouTube family, because honestly, this is where the quality is. This is where the community is. So come join us over here. Links in the bio for that, by the way. All right, so let's talk about number 5. The biggest thing that I say summed up Bob Proctor was that he taught us, nosotros, right? He taught us how to apply personal development. Guys, I remember before Bob, I was into personal development. That's why I knew about Bob, right? But I was also learning from Tony Robbins, Ty Lopez, Sam Ovens, Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, all these different gurus. And I had all these books. But I was gathering a lot of information, and I might implement a habit or two from a book, but then knowing the paradigm, I would default back. And 6 months later, if you were to ask me what information or changes I got from that book, I really didn't have any changes. I may have remembered a couple tactics here or there, but the actionable changes, I didn't really have it. But what Bob took 60 years of information gathering, and he taught us how to apply it. Now, for many of us, for a couple of you guys who are watching this call now, you're in my coaching program with Bob, right? You're in my personal quantum coaching, where I take you through the 6 months of step-by-step actions that you can actually take this and scale your income and scale your business. And obviously, it's not just a pitch here, but being in this program with Bob, it changed me. Because Bob, for the first time, taught me not only about the goal cards, and by the way, all this stuff I'm teaching you, I learned from the coaching program. Because Bob taught me step 1, goal, step number 2, paradigm, step number 3, boom, 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 boom. So at the end of a couple months, it's like everything started to change for me. It changed because Bob taught me how to take personal development, which was his broad thing, right? I'm becoming a better person, right? I'm happier. I feel better, right? Those are all great things. But let me tell you, who wants some of this? Drop a $sign in the chat right now if you want some Uncle Benji. Can you get focus on that camera? There we go. Who wants to invite Uncle Benji to their barbecue? Look at, he's smiling at you. Uncle Bobby P. Uncle Benji wants to hang out with you. If you want to hang out with Uncle Benji, drop a money sign in the chat. And there's nothing wrong with wanting money. Money is a tool that you can go out there and do stuff with your life. Oh, Alma, I see Alma. Alma's out here. She's dropping a bunch of money signs. She's like, yeah, I'm getting to the bag. I want Uncle Benji to come hang out with me. So I see Alma, Armani. I see you. See, what happened was Bob took all of this random information and he applied it to a specific goal for us. He took information, taught us how to apply it, and taught us how to grow our income, be happier, have more direction, have more purpose, have more fun, be a better person, leave people with the impression of increase, have better leadership, all these different concepts, but with an end, a means to an end, with something specific so that we could walk away with tangible results. Imagine if for every book that you read, you walked away with an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month plus in your income. Think about that. How many books would you read that for every book that you read, you got an extra $1,000 per month to your income? Now, if it was that easy, everybody would do it. And see, that's the hardest part, is how do you actually take this information and actually apply it and make money, have purpose, have directions, and all the benefits that we mentioned earlier. And that's where Bob came in and made the biggest difference for us, mostly around the idea of his coaching program. So that was the biggest takeaway. So yes, can you gather that information for free? Of course. Do I say you have to go buy a coaching program, whether it's from me, from Tony Robbins? No. But see, here's what a coaching program does. Like I said, I'm not pitching here. I'm telling you the facts, how I think, how I thought, so that I started to make changes, right? If you take my thinking, put it in you, you'll have the same income as me. It's literally that simple, right? If we take my paradigm, put it into you, and you have the same thinking, then naturally you'll have the same income, right? Because we remember the idea of the paradigm. So what I remember from buying coaching was that a coach, what he did was he compressed time frames. See, Bob took 60 years of study, 60 years, and not half-ass study like some guy in college while he's drunk on the weekends, or not some guy that reads a book a day and doesn't remember anything. I'm talking about deep study and training. He took 60 years and he put it into literally week by week modules. So when I look at it like that perspective, it kind of made sense how I went from 0 to 100K a month. Last night on our client call, I was hearing clients for the first time going from 0 to 50K a month, 0 to 40K in 3 months. We had people that started off sleeping in their parents' home, and then a year later they're living in their dream apartment. And I'm like hearing these stories over and over and over again. I'm like, wow, because Bob taught us not in a week, not in a month, but he compressed time frames. So in our 6-month coaching program, think of each month as a decade worth of information. So when I looked at it like this, it made sense why within 2 months I was at 6 figures a month, because it was pretty much 2 decades or 20 years with the information. So Bob, the biggest thing that he taught us was how to apply personal development towards a specific goal so that we can turn it, I don't know if you can hear that, into tangible dinero. Tangible dinero. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at some of these comments here. We're going to flip it over to the community. Guys, I'm excited. By the way, don't hop off yet, because some of these questions that people are going to start getting in these chats are going to be exciting. They're going to be super exciting. By the way, so before we go into the questions, look at the description below, whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching on Instagram. There's 3 steps that you can take right now. Step number 1, I already see that somebody asked the question, how do you work with me, right? So maybe you want to say, well, hey, DeAndre, how do I actually work with you and actually take this to the next level? That's going to be your first step number one. So you can actually, it's a direct link to my calendar right there. You can book a calendar with me, have a one-on-one session with me, and I'll see if you're a good fit. We're going to talk about your goal. We'll talk about all different stuff like that. That's step number one. Step number two is the community. Guys, let me tell you this. This call, everything that we're doing here is not to sell. It's for the community. That's the most important thing. So if you're watching me for the first time and you are not in our community group where you can start to meet with other people, share like-minded stuff, that's going to be option number two. That's going to be our private Telegram group specifically for the show right here. So click on number two, join our Saxton Show podcast Telegram group so that way you can be part of the community. And step number three, don't worry about step number three right now. Okay, don't worry. We'll fix the link. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. Number three is a challenge, but don't worry about that right now. We're gonna be coming up with a challenge in a little bit. Okay, so let's get to the questions. Okay, Apex Team says your calendar doesn't work. Okay, send me a DM on Instagram. Okay, so here's my Instagram right here. You can follow me and send me a message at Saxton Seminars. Do this. If for anybody that's watching me live right now and you send me a DM on Instagram and you put the word Saxton Show, here's what I'll do for you. I'll send you a gold card. For every person watching the show with me right now, go and send me a message on Instagram and type the word Saxton Show. That let me know that you are watching today's show, and I will send you your own personal gold card that you can print out and carry with you and move forward with that. So go ahead and do that, and that'll be my gift to you guys for sticking to the end of the show. Okay. And for Apex Team, whatever your I don't know your name. What you'll do is just send me a DM and we can talk about it, and I'll send you my calendar right there, and I'll figure out why it wasn't working. Okay. Whew. Let's get into some questions here. All right. So we have a question here from Apex Team once again. Apex Team says this. He says, how can I know more about this? Do you train? Yes. Okay, so Apex, I don't know your name, but hopefully maybe drop your name in the chat so I can call you by name. So yes, I have I call it my quantum coaching. I have a 6-month coaching program that I facilitate where Bob Proctor, in our video program, will be guiding you through step-by-step systems that he's gathered over his 60 years that can take you from pretty much stalled, right? Not even having a business to the end of it, being at a multiple 5-figure per month, if not multiple 6-figure per year business. Okay. All by shifting the mindset and helping you utilize your tools so you can in your mind so you can achieve effortless success. So when you send me a DM, we could talk about that. Okay. Armani says this: do you recommend studying for more than 1 hour? Okay, Armani, that's a really, really good question. By the way, guys, go ahead and drop a like right now. Before I answer, that's a worthy question. Actually, drop a like right now on this, because the YouTube algorithm loves when you like the video. That way we can get it out to more people, okay? So hit that like button. Also hit subscribe so you get notified every time I go live. Okay, Armani, super good question. Is it good to study more than 1 hour? And that truly depends, but I would say 1 hour is sufficient, and for a couple reasons. One is that if you're not in this industry, right? Because this is my industry. I get paid full time to not only learn this information, but to study and apply it and teach to others. So for me, I study about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Because at that point, after 2 hours, you're kind of just procrastinating on the work that you need to do. So I would recommend about an hour of study. You can break it up maybe 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, or whatever. But you want to do at least an hour. I wouldn't do any more than that unless you're kind of like teaching this, like if you're a coach or something like that, like me, then I would go ahead and do an hour. So I would even say it like this: study 1 hour and then add this in. Add an anywhere from a 15-minute to a 60-minute meditation. All right. Add anywhere from a 15-minute to a 60-minute meditation. So if you guys want to know more about like how I run my day, so I wake up around 5:55 in the morning, And about 6:10ish, 6:15, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm doing a 1 hour meditation. So I do a 1 hour meditation. And to me, to be quite honest, we'll get into this in farther episodes, but meditation has been one of the biggest things, biggest tools that I've used to apply everything that I'm teaching you now, right? Because there was a point where, after studying with Bob for 2 years, that I was gathering a lot of information and I felt like my business was stagnant and my paradigm wasn't shifting. But then when I learned meditation, I learned a skill set that actually made it so much easier for me to absorb the information into my paradigm, into my subconscious mind, and make my habits way more easier to stick. And I learned that through meditation. So every single day, I kid you not, I meditate every day. Every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. It's one of the most important things that I do. And I call that doing the work. So that's part of my studying, because what I'm really doing is I'm not studying a book in that time. I'm studying myself. So I study 1 hour a day at 6 a.m. And then after my 1 hour meditation, I go into 1 hour studying. So if you're curious right now, the program that I'm studying is called Your Mission and Commission. So this is a program Bob came out with. If you're on Instagram, please come over to YouTube. This is where literally everybody's on YouTube right now, and Facebook. So if you guys are seeing this right now, Your Mission and Commission, you can see I started it yesterday. And this program Bob created to help people earn their first $1 million. So it's a program Bob created specifically around the idea of the law of compensation and money. So right now I want to scale to multiple 7 figures, more specifically $10 million a year. And so I was like, why not learn about the program specifically with Bob? So that's what I'm studying. So I study 1 hour in the book, 1 hour in meditation, and that's pretty much what my day would look like. So Armani, that was a really, really good question, a question I have not answered before, and I thank you for asking that. Okay. And how do I get on a call with you? Okay, so Armani, you have a couple things that you can do. In the description below, you're going to see step number 1, step number 2, and step number 3. So if you want to work directly with me, what you'd want to do is see if you qualify, see if it makes sense, because not everybody's a good fit to work with me, whether it's the business, the industry, the pricing, whatever. So the best thing to do is hop on a one-on-one call with me. I don't charge anything from it, and you can go straight to my calendar. Somebody did mention the link wasn't working. If it's not working, just send me a direct message on Instagram letting me know that you want to hop on a call. I'll send it to you, and the call is free. I truly just want to see if you're a good fit for us, okay? So if it makes sense, go ahead and book on my calendar in the description below, or send me a message, okay? So that answers your question. Attract becomes. She asked, I think it's a girl. I can't see your little picture there. He says, how can I change a paradigm from eating poorly to eating better? That's a really, really good question. Ooh, okay. So here's the question that they asked me. How can I change a paradigm from eating poorly to eating better? Guys, drop a 7 in the chat if that resonates with a lot of you. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do, and any habit that we need to form, first thing that we need to do is we need to have a goal, or more specifically, we got to know exactly what we want. Okay, so if we whatever we focus on will continue to grow. So if we focus on bad food, what we will attract is bad food. So what we have to focus on, what is good food, or most importantly, what is a food that a healthy version of myself would eat? That's a question that I would have asked then. What is good food or healthy food that a healthy version of myself would eat? So now you're going to get very clear, and this is where research comes into play. The idea of growing your awareness, as you start to grow your awareness, and how do you grow your awareness? Through research and study. When you start to research what are good quality foods, you're going to start to experiment to see what foods what are healthy foods, what are starting to learn the science behind the food. And now it's not good enough just to know information about the food and to taste it. Here's what you must do then. Now that was step number 1. What do you want? Like, what do you want the food to be, right? Number 2 is do research, right? Grow your awareness so you can get some understanding about the healthy food. Then number 3 is, how do you stick that habit? Change the self-image. Change the self-image to start to see yourself as a person that eats healthy food. So simply attract becomes, what's really going on is you have been conditioned. It's a paradigm, right? It's part of your program to eat unhealthy foods. And I'm just like that. I was thinking about this because I have friends that are super healthy, and no by means am I the perfect eater or healthy person, but I have friends that are super, super healthy. And I noticed that they were like that their whole life. But if I was to look at my childhood, we didn't put a lot of emphasis on nutrition. My family, we ate a lot of microwave food, a lot of processed foods. We ate out a lot. So then I come back here to Miami, and there's a lot of healthy people, and it just didn't resonate with me. So it's things that I became aware that I want to eat healthy. I started to do research on healthy food, but that wasn't enough. This is step number 3 that I've actually been implementing over these last 3 weeks that has been putting healthier food in my body. Was I started to meditate and see myself as a person that eats healthy food and has a healthy body. And naturally, what will happen is I will make healthier choices without my body fighting itself. Now, will I still splurge here or there? Like today's Taco Tuesday, I went and had a bunch of tacos today. Yeah, but what happens is, but over a consistent time, I'm making much healthier choices because I see myself as a healthier person. You will start to see yourself as that because you have a goal. You have done the research and have understanding. Now you see and you act like that person, and naturally over time, you'll plant it into your habit. But that's a really good question that when we hop into the paradigm episode, which will be the next episode, we'll dive deeper on what that looks like on each level, conscious, subconscious, body. Okay. Good question. Good question. We got some good questions coming here. Apex says, okay, try to book a calendar. Like I said, you can click the link in the description below. That'll take you directly to my calendar, or you can send me a message on my Instagram. Okay, I'll put my Instagram right here so you can send me a message. Okay, Eduardo says this. What would you tell someone that has no income or limited income about how to move forward with their goals? Okay, so this is a really good question, Eduardo, because with this question, what you're really asking me is something called the common error. The common error is this: you look at the outside world. So this is a really good question that we'll talk about on the paradigm. Well, actually, we'll have a whole episode on the common error. So the common error states that whatever you see on the outside world is always a reflection of the inside world. So whatever is going on in the outside world is always a reflection of the inside world. So however much money you have right here in your hand is always a reflection of how much money you have here in the mind. Does that make sense here? Whatever money you have on the outside is always a reflection of the inside. So you got that. I said it like 3-4 times. But now that's the prerequisite. So what starts to happen then is now that we understand that if you're not having money on the outside world, what happens is you start to reinforce that because based on what you see with your eyes say that you're broke or you have limited income or money is not there. So based on what you see in the outside world, you begin to reinforce it back into your mind. And it's like this negative cycle. It doesn't make sense. So you see broke in the bank account, and then you see broke. So you see it with your eyes on the outside of you, and then on the inside, it registers as broke because of what you see. And then what you see in your mind will always reinforce back out because the universe is a mirror, right? Your world is a mirror. Is this making sense? So it's this cycle: broke outside, broke inside, broke outside, broke inside. And it's this cycle, boom, boom, boom. And that's called the hamster wheel. And that's why broke keep getting broke. And people say the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. Yes, and that's a law. And it will continue to be like that for generations and generations, far before our civilization, for the next thousands of years. Why? Because the rich understand this concept. They're not rich on the outside world. They're rich on the inside world. And then the world will bend or reflect what they see on the inside, and then they will see the money. And then they see the money grow, which then reinforces the thought that they're rich, and it continues the cycle going up. You see, the reason the rich keep getting richer is because they're using the same cycle, but to make the money, where the poor people use it to go backwards. They say, I live in poverty. I come from poverty. I have a broke job. Nobody in my family had money. I live in a bad neighborhood. And based on the outside world that says they're broke, they don't have any of this, it reinforces their inner world. And remember, the law is whatever you see here will always reflect outside. It's never, never, never the opposite. It will never be the opposite. And it will always be this. The inside world will always reflect on the outside world. It will never be the other way. So if you're broke outside, it's because you're broke inside. So if you have limited income, it's what's happening is you see limited on the outside of you, and based on what you see, it's reinforcing that on the inside, which then reinforces or starts the cycle or continues the cycle of broke. So that's how you've gotten to that position. So that's the first step, understanding. So how do you begin to fix that? Number one is you got to have a goal. We talked about that. That was step number one that Bob Proctor gave me, is what's the specific amount of money? Because right now, if a person that doesn't have any money or has limited money, what's happening is they're focused on being broke, not focusing on being wealthy. Is that making sense? Drop a 3 in the chat if this is making sense for you. If this is making sense for you, drop a 3 in the chat. So a person that doesn't have money on the outside is focusing on broke thoughts rather than thoughts of abundance. So by having a goal card, what that does is it gets you thinking about money. And as you start to think about money, you will start to find money. You'll come up with ideas for money, and you'll start to change the inside world. This goal card is so important, not because you have a goal card, but because you're starting to reinforce a new outside, right? Or sorry, a new inside. You're saying, I'm so happy and grateful now that I earn 10,000 a month or 20,000, 100 or whatever number. So you're saying it here. And what will over time, you'll begin to believe it. So then what's the law? Whatever you hold here will be a reflection of what you hold here. So when you start to hold the money here over time, and with a couple of other tools that we teach in our coaching program, you'll start to see it out here. Is that making sense? Well, that's called the common error. And we'll have a whole episode on that where we'll actually break it down, what it looks like at conscious, subconscious body. But that's a very good question. How do you break that cycle? Is you got to change your money situation here in the paradigm. You know, for many of you guys know that I was sleeping in my car. I slept in my car for 5 months here in Miami, but around the time that I met Bob Proctor, I was sleeping on my grandparents' couch. And I slept on that couch for about 5 months. But you see, I didn't see myself sleeping in a car or a couch here by the time I was earning 6 figures a month. By the time I was earning 6 figures a month, I had changed my internal state here. And so naturally, the outer world had to reflect back to me, which is why I had 6-figure months, was because I changed the here, then I saw it here. So that's how you begin to change it. Okay. Guys, what a freaking call. We are over the time already, but I want to go ahead and thank you. What's your next step? Step number one, for those of you that want to book a call with me, right? Many of you have been asking that. It's free, right? It doesn't cost you anything. You can go and what's your next steps? It's always going to be in the description below. Step number one is book a calendar call with me. It's free. It's about 30 to 45 minutes, and we'll see if you're a good fit to work with me. That's one option. Option number two is to join the Telegram community, right? There's been tons of people coming in and out of today's call. Wouldn't it be good to have a community of like-minded people that are on a journey of personal development, that want to earn more money, that are either starting their business, growing their business, or scaling their business from all over the world and have the same values as you, right? They value having purpose in their life, having passion, serving others, helping others, wanting to understand themselves, right? Wouldn't that be cool to have a community of like-minded people, not just hearing from me, but meeting other people? That's exactly what you'll find inside of our Telegram group, which will be number 2. If you look at the link in the description below, it'll take you straight over to the community. Start chatting up. Tell people where you're from. Tell some things that you're learning, okay? Tell them what big takeaway that you got from today's call. And the final thing that you can do is send me a direct message on Instagram. And what I'll do for that is I will send you a gold card so you can begin to carry it and change your life. All right, guys. So that was the 5 biggest takeaways that I learned from studying under my mentor, Bob Proctor, for 2 years that changed my life, and 5 actionable steps that you can take today that will change your life as well. So rest in peace to the mentor, the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Proctor. Guys, we'll be back here on Friday at 9 p.m. for the next episode. We're going to go directly into paradigms. We're going to talk deeper about how will they form, how to change them so that you can lift this thermostat and start to see more of this cash flow come into your life in the effortless way. So without further ado, family, you'll find the recordings on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook. Subscribe below, hit that like button, and keep winning. My name is DeAndre Saxton. I am your big brother. I'm here to guide you to whatever it is that you want to achieve. Without further ado, from my heart to yours, love you guys. I'll see you Friday at 9 p.m. Take care. Information is in the description. Let's go.